You know, when a tech CEO promises their new product is going to change the world, we all kind of roll our eyes, right? You take it with a massive grain of salt. But when Morgan Stanley, one of the largest, most conservative investment banks on the planet, issues a direct red alert warning to its institutional clients that a market-altering disruption is literally weeks away, yeah, that's when you drop what you're doing and pay attention. Back in March 2026, right after their big tech conference, they released a stark note stating flat out that the market is completely unprepared for a sudden, nonlinear jump in AI capabilities hitting between April and June. Welcome to The Explainer. I am super excited you're here because today we're unpacking this exact financial warning. We're going to decode what this sudden AI acceleration actually means for the economy, why the infrastructure is about to groan under the weight, and most importantly, what this means for us, the developers, product managers, and tech teams trying to build through it. And look, Morgan Stanley wasn't just pulling this out of thin air. This echoes what folks on the absolute inside are saying. Take OpenAI's Sam Altman at the India AI Impact Summit back in February 2026. He literally used the exact same phrase. The world is not prepared. He made it incredibly clear that the takeoff speed of these new models is actually surprising the very people building them. So here's our game plan for today. We'll look at the 2026 AI capability jump, break down a staggering $2.9 trillion bottleneck, identify the sectors right in the crosshairs, explore the proprietary data moats, and finally, lay out the exact playbook tech teams need to prepare. All right, let's jump straight into part one, the 2026 AI capability jump, basically the what of the situation. The absolute key phrase in that Morgan Stanley note is non-linear increase. For the last couple of years, we've gotten really comfortable with linear progress. A model gets a bit faster, hallucination rates drop a few points, maybe the context window expands, nice and steady. But a nonlinear jump, that's an abrupt exponential leap. It is a massive step change in reasoning that happens almost overnight. If you're building software right now and assuming you have, say, 18 months to casually integrate AI, a jump like this completely blows up your long-term roadmap in a single quarter. So much for all those neatly organized Jira tickets. And the proof that this is real? It's already happening behind closed doors. In early 2026, reports leaked that OpenAI's GPT 5.4 thinking model hit an 83% score on the GDP-Val benchmark. Now, why should we care about that specific benchmark? Because GDP-Val isn't testing whether an AI can write a cute poem. It specifically tests performance on economically valuable tasks. Hitting 83% means this model is independently executing the exact workflows that companies currently pay humans billions of dollars to do. To really wrap our heads around the sheer speed here, just look at the history. It took 47 years to go from the Turing test to Deep Blue beating Garry Kasparov in chess. Then 14 years to get Siri on our phones. 11 years after that, ChatGPT blew our minds. And now, just 4 years later, we are staring down a non-linear jump in cognitive reasoning. The gaps between these world-altering milestones aren't just shrinking, they are practically collapsing. Which brings us to section 2, the $2.9 trillion bottleneck, the so what of it all. Here's the brutal reality. Intelligence at this massive scale is definitely not free, and it doesn't run on magic. Morgan Stanley is projecting an absolutely mind-boggling $2.9 trillion in global data center construction costs by 2028. Just sit with that number for a second. That is a historic mobilization of capital purely to build the physical buildings and servers needed to support these new models. And here is the real kicker. Out of that $2.9 trillion, over 80% of that spending hasn't even happened yet. It's still in the future. We haven't even begun to hit the peak of infrastructure demand. This tells us the appetite for compute power is just blowing past our current supply, meaning we are strapping in for an intense, long-term war for compute resources. To ground this entirely in physical reality, the bank quoted NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. He literally said demand for compute is higher than incredibly high, and that these massive cloud providers are ramping up like mad, requiring a few million net new GPUs. For us developers, the translation is painfully clear. GPUs are going to be scarce, and you are going to hit API rate limits hard. That's just the reality while the physical world tries to catch up with the software. Moving on to section 3. Sectors in the crosshairs. Let's talk industry impacts. Morgan Stanley didn't mince words here. They named names. They called out wealth management, insurance, shipping, gaming, property management, and yep,
software. This isn't just some vague tech bro prophecy, it's basic economics. These new models will drastically drop the marginal cost of producing services in these fields. When production costs plummet, prices drop, profit margins compress, and inevitably, staffing gets reduced. In software, we're already seeing code generation and QA get automated, but the bank is betting the speed of that automation is about to absolutely explode.
But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Morgan Stanley also pointed out what's safe. While those service sectors are vulnerable, they contrast them with resistant assets. Things like physical world energy, metals, and, this is the golden ticket for us, proprietary data. That is a massive clue. Simply put, if an AI model can't read your data, it cannot replicate your business.
So that leads perfectly into Section 4, the proprietary data moat. This is the now what?
Your absolute best defense right now is a proprietary data moat. We're talking about your internal, non-public data. Think about it. If an AI gets 3 times smarter next week, everybody on Earth gets access to that exact same baseline intelligence. So how do you stand out? You differentiate by combining that brilliant public model with your highly specific private data. You use fine-tuning or retrieval-augmented generation, RAG. The smarter the public models get, the more insanely valuable your hidden internal data becomes. It is your secret sauce.
Finally, Section 5, how tech teams must prepare. Let's open up the developer playbook.
Based on everything Morgan Stanley is signaling, here is your survival guide. Step 1, build model-agnostic architectures. With this nonlinear jump coming, you need integration layers that let you swap out AI providers in an instant without totally rewriting your codebase. Step 2, design for high inference costs. Remember that $2.9 trillion backlog? Compute isn't getting dirt cheap tomorrow. You need to build caching, use batching, and right-size your models. Step 3, invest heavily in clean, structured internal data pipelines. That is your moat. Protect it. And Step 4, test against the absolute bleeding-edge frontier models right now, not the legacy versions you launched with last year. Look, I really want you to take this one core idea away from Morgan Stanley's warning. Not prepared is just a prompt. It is a call to action, not a final verdict. For giant, slow-moving enterprises, sure, this capability jump might be a total disaster. But for agile developers, product managers, and tech leads who actually understand these constraints and adapt their architectures today, this is quite literally the opportunity of a lifetime. So, I'm going to leave you with a high-stakes thought experiment to take back to your team tomorrow. Look at the software you're building right this second. If the underlying AI model you rely on magically gets 3 times smarter overnight, if it stops needing human hand-holding and just starts executing complex workflows entirely on its own, which of your integrations are going to break? Are you relying on the AI being kind of dumb to justify your current user interface? Figure out what breaks and fix it before the market fixes it for you. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. I hope it helps you build smarter, faster, and way more resilient.